The miniseries Apple Cider Vinegar tells the truish story of Australian scammer Belle Gibson's life between 2009 and 2015, raising the questions of what happened after reporters exposed her lies. Netflix has gained a reputation for its true crime content, and Apple Cider Vinegar is a great addition to its catalogue. The show starring Kaitlyn Dever is similar to Netflix's Inventing Anna, as they both follow a pretty young woman who lied and ripped people off to get ahead. However, the 2025 miniseries has more dark humor and an edgy tone to the story that has led to positive reviews for Apple Cider Vinegar. The show diverges from the norm in one other way as well. Though it's based on a true story, the series doesn't include slides at the end which reveal the character's fate after Gibson is exposed. However, since 2015, Gibson has gone to court, evaded consequences, and started going by a different name. Belle Gibson admitted to lying about her cancer claims in 2015. Penguin Random House stopped printing the whole pantry. After getting exposed by investigative journalists Bo Donnelly and Nick Toscano in the Sydney Morning Herald, Belle Gibson provided the Australian Women's Weekly with an exclusive interview where she admitted to lying about her cancer claims for the first time ever. When asked directly whether she had cancer previously or in the present, she said, "No, none of it's true." However, the actual statements in the article are frustratingly contradictory and push blame onto others. In the same interview, Belle Gibson claims she received cancer diagnoses in 2009 and 2014, explaining it as something she held true about herself, alongside being tall, blonde, and having hazel eyes. Claire Weaver states that Gibson's friends reached out to warn of her lies. The scammer also makes many statements in the interview that scream of exaggeration. The biggest takeaway from the Women's Weekly interview is that Belle Gibson is an unreliable narrator whose words cannot be trusted. Belle Gibson was fined almost $410,000 for the false claims about her donations to charity. Belle Gibson still owes money to the Australian government. Kaitlyn Dever as Belle looking tense during an interrogation in Apple Cider Vinegar. At the end of the Netflix miniseries, the Apple Cider Vinegar main character cheekily tells the audience that they can go Google what happened next, rather than doing the whole what happened after segment that's traditional in true crime TV shows. It turns out, the Australian government finally took Belle Gibson to court in 2017. Gibson went before the Australian Federal Court for breaking consumer laws. She'd promised her to donate proceeds from her The Whole Pantry book and app. However, the charities and proclaimed recipients didn't have any record of her donations. According to the Herald Sun, the Australian courts hit her with these fines. In AUD added together, her fines were $410,000 Australian dollars, which is approximately $256,500. This is much less than the $1.1 million AUD she could have faced. The judge barred her from saying that she was diagnosed with brain cancer before May 24, 2016, and she can't say that she cured her cancer by rejecting conventional medicine. However, they gave her leniency in one big way. Belle Gibson wasn't required to make a public apology. Despite the fines, Gibson wouldn't pay, according to Australian Broadcasting Corporation, claiming that she couldn't afford to pay the $410,000. However, the consumer watchdog found that she'd spent $91,000 between 2017 and 2019 on things like clothes and traveling to Bali and Africa. In 2021, the Victorian Sheriff's Office raided her house under a seizure and sale warrant to recuperate some of the outstanding fines, which have reached over $500,000 Australian dollars because of penalties and interest, via Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Unfortunately, as of the time of Apple Cider Vinegar's release, she hadn't paid anything, according to the Herald Sun. Belle Gibson has largely stayed out of the public eye since her scandal. Belle Gibson's exact whereabouts are unknown. Kaitlyn Dever as Belle chewing on her thumb and looking at a computer screen in Apple Cider Vinegar. Since the news of Belle Gibson's scam broke in 2015, the fraudster has maintained a private life. In 2020, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation reported that Gibson had integrated herself into the Ethiopia's Oromo community in Melbourne, Australia, going by the name Sabontu. Although she'd been involved since 2016, the community was allegedly unaware of her identity until January 2020. However, according to the Australian Women's Weekly, the leader of the community asked her to leave in 2021 after learning her identity, claiming to the publication that she was exploiting the good heart of the people in our community. It's unclear what exactly she has been doing since leaving the Oromo community. In February 2024, a current affair caught up with her when she was at a gas station and living in the northern suburbs of Australia. When asked about the fine by the news reporter, she claimed to a current affair that she hadn't paid her fine because she couldn't afford it, and she refused to answer the questions about whether her victims deserved an apology. Based on her desire to remain out of the public eye, it's highly unlikely she will ever comment on Netflix's Apple Cider Vinegar.